Okay, so let's begin with our chapter 10 review, and let's get right into the first question. It says construct a frequency and a histogram for the following data set using a class interval width of 2 starting at 0.5. Okay, notice that they have already given our class intervals. So what we want to do is we would like to place each one of these data values into the class intervals. So for example, this 6 is in this class interval. So I'm going to use a tally system for now. So let's see, maybe I could just write. So right now there is a 6, there is a 7. That 7 belongs in this interval. A 1 belongs in this interval. There's another 7, so that interval. And 9 is in this interval. A 6 is in this interval. Then a 4 in that interval. Another 7. And then 2 more 6s. So 1, 2. So in total, there is 1 score. Try to use the eraser here. In total, there's 1 score in the interval from 0.5 to 2.5. Also 1 score in the interval from 2.5 to 4.5. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 scores in the interval from 4.5 to 6.5. 3 scores that belong to the interval from 6.5 to 8.5, and only 1 score that belongs that is in the interval from 8.5 to 10.5. In total, okay, in total, we have 1, 2, 6, 9, 10 scores. Let's just double check that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 10 in total. So what is the relative frequency? The relative frequency is given by dividing, in this case, the frequency divided by the total number of data items. So in this case, there's only 1 out of 10, so that is 0.1. So the relative frequency for a score in this interval is 0.1. Same idea here, there's only 1 score out of the 10, so therefore its relative frequency will be 0.1. We have 4 out of 10, 0.4, 3 out of 10, which is 0.3, and then 1 out of 10, which is 0.1. Okay, and so therefore now we need to choose the right histogram. And so therefore, in this particular case, this will be the class interval from 0 to, in this case, this will be 2.5. And then this value right here will be 4.5. And here will be 6.5. And here's 8.5. And here's 10.5. Okay, in any case, let's see, well, which one is the right graph? So 0.1, 0.1. Oh, the frequency. Okay, so 1, 1. Okay, and then we have a 4. Let's see. This is not right here because the frequency is supposed to be 4, so this cannot be it. And this is okay. And then we have a frequency of 3 for the next. And then right here is not bueno. So therefore, the answer has to be this histogram right there. Okay. Alrighty then. Number 2. Graph the data in the following table using a bar graph. Okay, so we have corporation A, B, C, D, F, and then the revenue. So therefore, in this case, 216. That's not right. This value is supposed to be 216, given our data here. not right. This doesn't look right at all. Again, that's supposed to be 216. That looks about right. Are there any other options besides this? No, that's it. So I'm going to say the answer is C, but I'm going to double check this. 189, 176, 155. That looks about right. This is under 140. So okay. Yeah, therefore, yeah, we're going with C here. It says gasoline prices. At one point, the average price of a gallon of gasoline in country A was $1,487,000. Of this amount, 76.9 cents was the cost of crude oil. 13.3 cents was the cost of refining, 18.4 cents of the cost of distribution and marketing, and 40.1 cents the amount of tax. Use a pie chart to represent this data. But I think before we get there, we have to come up with some, I think they're even telling us some numbers here, okay? All right, so it says type your answer. So what is the central angle used for the portion of the pie representing the cost of crude oil? Okay, so when we have a pie chart, okay, we must understand that the angle measurement of the entire circle is 360 degrees. But we have some sections. And therefore, in this case, I don't know why I did that. I'm going to try to take that out. And so therefore, here we have some angles here referred to as the central angles. So what I just drew here is the central angle. And this is a portion of the entire circle. Okay. So therefore, we can calculate this, okay, because this is a part of a whole. So we can come up with some proportions. So in this case, let's just do, for example, here, we know that the entire circle measures 360 degrees. Just want to make sure that that looks like 360. Okay, so I'm going to write here a ratio of the angle measurement, and the dollar amount is, let me just not even do that. It will be 1.487. We're looking for the angle measurement. I think I'm going to call it theta. Okay, and it says that part of this amount, which happens to be crude oil, that is 76, 0.9 cents. Okay, so let me get this clear, okay? All right, so 76.9 cents in dollar is 0.769, okay? All right, so because this number has to be smaller than the whole, it's a part. So then we just use cross multiplication and division to find the value of theta. So let's go ahead and do that. So if I take my calculator and I multiply 360 times 0.769 and then divide it by 1.487, I get, in this case, 186 point, how many decimals? To the nearest thousand. So that means 3 decimal places. Oops. Okay, so we have 174. So therefore, the central angle that represents the crude oil is 186.174. Okay, and we could do the same thing for the next part. Okay, so we know that the entire circle is 360 degrees. The whole amount is 187. We're looking for a central angle, but in that case, we're looking for the portion of the pie chart representing the cost of refining. And refining costs 13.3 cents. So that is 0.133. Again, we do cross multiplication and then division. Let me show you the work. So we're looking for 1.33 times 360. Then divide this by 1.487. And that turns out to be equal to 32.199. I'm not even sure why the answers are here, but they are there, okay? So this would be 32.199. It turns out that the third angle is also, what, not the same, but 44,546. And then we have 97.081. If we add these four numbers together, that will be very close to 360 degrees. Okay. All right. So that's how you would do that. I don't think you're going to have the answers in front of you. So just keep that in mind. And so therefore, which one is the right pie chart? Well, looking at this, wow, crude oil. Now, this didn't do a good job because I'm sure that in my MATLAB you will see some colors, but crude oil is the biggest central angle. So therefore, it cannot be A and it cannot be B. This angle is more than 180, so it has to be a little bit bigger, something that looks something like that. So I'm looking for an area that looks something like that. And it cannot be A and it cannot be B. Okay, it could be C or D. And then I'm looking at tax, which is this one right here. That is a little bit more than a right angle. And I'm noticing here that this doesn't quite make sense. Okay, this right here doesn't quite make sense for that portion of tax. So therefore the right answer here is C. So this angle right here looks very much like a 97. Let me just put that. Looks very much like a 97 degrees, okay? And so therefore that's how I was able to determine that it should be answer C versus answer D. All right, let's move on. Okay, so an example on nutrition. Graph the data in the following table using a double bar graph. It says recommended daily allowances for monkeys. So I'm assuming some kind of diet. Okay, so we have carbohydrates, protein, fat. And so we're just making sure here that in this case, doesn't really tell us 370. Okay, so that looks like 370. So I'm looking for 370, 300. So this looks right. So according to what I see here, male seems to be the darker color. And maybe the females is more like the gray color. But let's see. Again, it probably will be better in your MyMATLAB with some colors and things like that. Okay. And so let's see. 370, 300. It looks like 68. It looks like to me like 43. This looks a little bit like above 100, so 108. And I see something below 100. That's 84. So I'm liking very much answer A. But let's look at this one. So this would be 370 and 300. Then over here, 68. Let's see. So this is looking a little bit more than less than. I don't think I'm ruling this one out. But let's see. Something here doesn't quite make sense to me. I'm gonna go with A. And all right, so maybe in my MATLAB, you'll see this with actual colors, and it will be a little bit easier for you to determine that, okay? All right. Oh, I didn't even read the question. Look at this. Gosh. Note that the first bar depicts the data corresponding to the male population, and then it says, how come it doesn't highlight? That the second bar depicts the data corresponding to the female population. Okay, so it seems like I need to do a better job at reading the instructions. So therefore, it will be answer A. All right, moving on to example number 5. Find the mean. Okay, so it seems like we left chapter 10.1 and we are in chapter 10.2. Finding the mean, and this would be ungrouped data. And so to find the mean, we need to find the sum of these numbers. So to find the mean, which in this case, we can use that symbol right there. We have 8 plus 4 plus 6 plus 2 plus 3. So we find the sum of those numbers, and then we divide by the number of items here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it says type an integer or a decimal. And in this case, after adding and dividing, we get 4.6. All right, in example number 6, we want to find the mean, the median, and the mode. Okay, so one thing that I like about this set of ungrouped data is that it's already in order from lowest to highest, or it could also be from highest to lowest. As long as it is in order, then we can find the median. Okay, all right, but let's go ahead and erase that because I don't. Let's see. First, let's find the mean. To find the mean, again, we add up the data values. I guess I could have done this a little bit different. Let me try to do this a little bit in a different way. Okay. So that will be 1 times 2, because that will be its frequency. There's two 1s. There's only 1 2. There's only 1 3. There are 2 4s, and there is 4 5s. So we find that sum, and then we divide by the number of data items. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so the mean will be equal to 3.5. What is the median? To find the median, again, we must have our data arranged from lowest to highest or from highest to lowest. And the median will be the data value right in the middle. So in this case, since we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, since we have an even number of data items, then therefore the median will be the average of the two middle scores. In this case, the two middle scores are 4 and 4. So therefore, we need to find the average of the two middle scores, and this turns out to be equal to 4. So the mean was 3.5. The median is equal to 4. To find the mode or the modes, we need to look for the data item that is repeated the most. And in this case, I think it's quite obvious that the number 5 is the data item that is repeated the most. So mode is equal to 5. Number 7, here we see some group data and we want to find the mean of the group data. So to find the mean of this group data, we need to find the sum of, well, first of all, before we even get there, okay, let me just do it like that. The sum of the, in this case, that will be the midpoint times the frequency divided by n, where in this case, n is the sum of the frequencies. All right, so so unlike the previous example, we need to find the midpoint of each one of these intervals, multiply them by the frequency, okay, and then add them all up and then divide by n. Okay, so let's get the easy part out of the way. N is equal to 2 plus 3, which is equal to 5. 5 plus 6, which is equal to 11. 11 plus 6 is equal to 17. So whatever the sum is going to be divided by 17. So what are the midpoints? So I'm going to create a different column here. Here, you go ahead and do that. I'm going to add an additional column here. I'm going to call it xi, which happens to be, in this case, the midpoint. To find the midpoint, we can easily add the two ends and divide by 2. So in this case, 2.5 plus 0.5 is equal to 3. Therefore, it will be 1.5. In this case, once again, add the ends. So in this case, 4.5 plus 2.5 will be 7. 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. Let me make sure I have this in writing so that you know how to do that. To find the midpoint, we can say 4.5 plus 6.5 divided by 2. And in this case, this will be equal to 5.5. And therefore, here we have 7.5. Okay, so so how do we find this sum? So the sum will be, let's see if I can write it in a different color. Do it in this color. So the sum will be 1.5 times its frequency plus 3.5 times its frequency plus 5.5 times its frequency plus 7.5 times its frequency. So go ahead and use your calculator to find this sum and then divide it by 17. And what I get after using the calculator here, I get an answer of 5.2 decimal places, 5.38. Okay. Number 8. It says find the mean, median, and mode for the data in the following table. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 data items. This is not group data. This is ungrouped data. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to arrange the data in descending order, highest to lowest. Okay. So I see a 33.6. So I'm going to put a little check mark there. I see an 18.1. I see a 15.2. I see a 12.1. Then what else? Seems like after that we got two 9.8. So 9.8, 9.8. I'm gonna check that. Now we have an 8.5. And finally a 7.5. Just gonna double check that I have 8 data items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got them all. To find the mean, we find the sum, okay, divided by 8. So 33.6 plus 18.1 plus 15.2 plus 12.1 plus 9.8 times 2 of those. Oh, I'm running out of room. Plus 8.5 plus 7.5. All of that divided by 8. And after using the calculator, I get an answer of 14.33, rounded to 2 decimal places. The median will be the number in the middle. Since we have 8 data items, therefore the 2 in the middle, the average of the 2 middle scores will be the median. So therefore, in this case, the median will be the average of 12.1 plus 9.8 divided by 2. And in this case, we also get rounded to 2 decimal places, 10.95. So if there is a mode, then that will be the score that is repeated the most. And oh no, that's not what I wanted to do, but is there an undo button? No, there is no undo. Okay. Okay, so that was, I believe, 12.1 and 9.8. Okay, I think I'm just going to just circle them. And 9.8 is clearly repeated more than all the others. So therefore, there is a mode, and that mode happens to be 9.8. If there is in the example that you see in your test, actually you see more, then make sure you separate it with a comma and then write the other number. But in this case, there was only one. So I'm just gonna write that one, okay? All right, let's move on to example number 9.